A very good afternoon and thank you for joining us on Beetv Global News at 12. I am Ruth Ogbodu and now the news in detail. As the new year opens, global financial markets are showing familiar signs of renewed risk appetite. Investors are once again positioning for a surge in initial public offerings, IPOs, with sentiment closely resembling the enthusiasm that powered market peaks in 2025. The report.
The S&P 500 also rose fractionally, indicating broad-based stability across major sectors including healthcare, energy and financials. In contrast, the Nasdaq Composite was little change in early trading, as gains in some technology stocks were offset by mild pullbacks in others. Investor sentiment in the tech-heavy index remained restrained, with market participants weighing valuation, interest rate expectations, and the outlook for earnings growth in the new year. Market analysts noted that the subdued movement across the major indexes reflects a wait-and-see approach at the start of 2026. Many investors are assessing economic signals carried over from 2025, including inflation trends, monetary policy direction, and global economic conditions, before making significant portfolio adjustments. Trading volumes were relatively light in the early session, a common feature of the first trading days of a new year, as institutional investors gradually return to full activity. Attention is expected to shift in the coming days to upcoming economic data releases and corporate earnings reports, which may provide clearer direction for markets. Overall, the early performance of U.S. stocks suggests a steady start to 2026, with cautious confidence underpinning investors' decisions as the new trading year begins. Zainab Mohammed reporting for Beetv News.
The United States Justice Department says it has successfully disrupted an alleged ISIS-inspired terror plot planned for the New Year's Eve by a North Carolina man, averting what officials describe as a potentially deadly attack on civilians. The report.
Despite tighter financial conditions in some regions and lingering macroeconomic uncertainties, confidence in equity markets remain resilient. Investment banks and market operators report a growing pipeline of companies preparing to go public. Technology, fintech, energy transition, healthcare, and consumer-facing startups are leading the charge, driven by expectations that public markets will reward growth narratives once again. Several firms that postponed listing during periods of volatility are now revisiting Apple plans, encouraged by stabilizing valuations and improved post-listing performance of recent entrants. Much of the current monument is being fueled by fear of missing out. Retail and institutional investors alike are wary of staying sidelined as equity index trend upward and early IPOs show strong debuts. This behavioral dynamic mirrors the optimism seen during previous bull phases, where capital flowed rapidly into high-growth stories, sometimes ahead of fundamentals. Market strategies note that while investors are more conscious than in post-speculative cycles, the willingness to take calculated risk has clearly returned. Strong demand for pre-Apple funding rounds and oversubscriptions in recent listings underscore this shift. Valuations are rising but remain selective, unlike early market peaks characterized by broad-based exuberance. Investors are now differentiating more sharply between profitable businesses and those reliant on aggressive growth projections. Companies with clear revenue mode, strong governance, and scalable operators are attracting premium interest. Liquidating condition also played a critical role. Expectation of more accommodative monetary policy later in the year, or at least a pause in tightening, are improving risk settlements. Even when interest rates remain elevated, market appears to have priced in the worst, allowing equities to remain momentum. Despite the upbeat tone, risks persistent geopolitical tensions, uneven global growth, regulatory scrutiny of public markets, and the potential for economic disappointment could quickly deepen enthusiasm. A crowded IPO calendar also raises the risk of investors' fatigue if supply outpaces demand. Analysts caution that while FOMO can accelerate market rallies, it can also amplify corrections if expectations are not met. Discipline in pricing and realistic growth guidance could be critical for sustaining confidence. The earlier signal points to a year of increased market activities, with Apple reclaiming a central role in capital markets. The enthusiasm that once defined the 2025 heights has not disappeared, it has evolved. Investors are still eager, but with sharp focus and higher expectations. Precious Agbolaho, reporting for Beetv News.
Officials have said it may take several days to identify victims of a deadly fire that broke out at a bar in the Sky Resort town of Crans, Montana, citing the severity of burns suffered by many of those who died in the incident. The report.
Good morning. Happy New Year, and it is a Happy New Year, although it came very close to not being such a Happy New Year for a lot of people this year. I'm here to announce, in partnership with the Mint Hill Police Department and the FBI, that we have foiled a terrorist attack that was planned to take place on New Year's Eve in Mint Hill, North Carolina.
In a statement released by federal authorities, the suspect, Kristen Stodivant, an 18-year-old resident of Mint Hill, North Carolina, was arrested on December 31st following an extensive counter-terrorism investigation led by the Federal Bureau of Investigation. According to court documents, Stodivant allegedly planned to carry out a violent assault using knives and hammers at public locations, including a grocery store and a fast food restaurant, on New Year's Eve. Investigators say the suspect was motivated by extremist ideology and sought to act in support of the Islamic State of Iraq and Syria. Federal officials revealed that Stodivant had been in communication with individuals he believed to be ISIS supporters. Unknown to him, those individuals were undercover law enforcement officers. During these exchanges, he allegedly discussed attacks plan, pledged loyalty to ISIS, and expressed a desire to carry out violence against civilians as part of a so-called martyrdom mission. A search of the suspect's residence uncovered knives, hammers, and a handwritten document reportedly titled New Year's Attack 2026. The document allegedly outlined plans to attack multiple victims and included references to confront law enforcement officers. Authorities also stated that the suspect had consumed and shared extremist propaganda online in the weeks leading up to his arrest, including social media content consistent with ISIS ideology. Officials emphasized that the investigation progressed carefully to ensure public safety and that there was no immediate danger to the public at the time of the arrest. Stodivant had been charged with attempting to provide material support to a designated foreign terrorist organization, a federal offense that carries a potential sentence of up to 20 years in prison if convicted. He remains in federal custody pending further court proceedings. The Justice Department credited the successful disruption of the plot to coordinated efforts between federal, state, and local law enforcement agencies. Officials reiterated that while ISIS no longer controls terrorism, the group's ideology continues to inspire lone actor attacks, making continued vigilance essential. This case underscores the importance of early detection and intervention in preventing acts of extremist violence, the Justice Department said. Zainab Mohammed reporting for Beetv News.
U.S. President Donald Trump has issued a stark warning to Iran, saying the United States will come to the aid of protesters if Iranian security forces fired upon or violently kill them, as widespread demonstrations continue to shake the Islamic Republic. The report.
At least 40 people were confirmed dead, while 119 others sustained injuries after the fire erupted at the popular Results Bar, which was reportedly crowded at the time. Emergency services said several of the injured remain in critical condition and are receiving treatment in hospitals across the canton and neighboring regions. Authorities explained that the condition of many of the bodies has made immediate identification impossible. As a result, forensic specialists are relying on scientific methods such as DNA testing, dental records, and personal effects to establish the identities of the victims. Officials said the process is meticulous and time-consuming but necessary to ensure accuracy. Firefighters and rescue teams responded swiftly after receiving distress calls, but the blaze spread rapidly within the enclosed space, hampering evacuation efforts. Survivors were assisted out of the building while the injured were transported by ambulances and air rescue services to medical facilities. Police have sealed off the scene and launched a full investigation into the cause of the fire. Authorities said they are examining whether safety regulations were followed and are interviewing witnesses, staff, and survivors to determine how the fire started and spread. Local officials have set up support centers for relatives seeking information about missing loved ones, and counseling services are being provided to victims, families, and emergency responders affected by the tragedy. The incident has shocked the Crans-Montana community and the wider Swiss public, particularly as the result was experiencing a busy period due to the ski season. Flags were lowered in parts of the region as a mark of respect for the victims. Swiss authorities said further updates would be released as investigations continue and as the identification of victims progresses. Zainab Mohammed reporting for BTV News.
London's benchmark blue chip index, the FTSE 100, surged past the 10,000-point milestone for the first time in history, marking a significant moment for the UK stock market. The move reflects growing investor confidence and a broader rally in global equities. The reports.
In a message posted on his Truth social platform on Friday, Trump wrote that if Iran shoots and violently kills peaceful protesters, which is their custom, the United States would come to their rescue and that it is locked and loaded and ready to go. The president's threat comes amid ongoing protests triggered by a collapsing national currency, soaring inflation, and a deepening cost of living crisis that has sparked anger across cities and province. At least several people have been killed in clashes with security forces as demonstrators reject economic hardship and call for political change. Iran has faced mounting unrest in recent days, with protests spreading beyond Tehran to western provinces such as Lorestan and Charamahal and Bakhtiari. Videos shared on social media showed clashes between demonstrators and security personnel, with reports of fatalities and numerous arrests. Top Iranian officials have responded forcefully to Trump's comments. Ali Larijani, secretary of Iran's Supreme National Security Council, warned that U.S. interference in Iran's internal affairs would risk destabilizing the entire Middle East and urged Americans to watch over their soldiers. Iran's foreign ministry also condemned the U.S. president's remarks as reckless and dangerous, arguing that Tehran protests are mostly peaceful and accusing Trump of escalating tensions. Other Iranian leaders described any external interference as crossing a red line that could provoke severe repercussions. The unrest, described as the largest in Iran in more than 3 years, poses a significant internal challenge to Iranian authorities already grappling with economic hardship and public discontent. International reactions remain closely watched, with concerns rising that Trump's threats could heighten regional tension and complicate diplomatic efforts to address both Iran's internal crisis and broader geopolitical stability. Evelyn Isibli reporting for BTV News.
And now to the business news. Average hotel rooms rates in Lagos have climbed to a record of 205,534 naira as business and rebounds faster than new hotel supply. Data from Estate Intel shows demand strengthening across prime business districts, even as delays in delivering new hotel projects continue to constrain room availability. The reports.
The report notes that average daily rates more than doubled from 803,105 in 2023 to 205,534 by October 2025, driven by renewed corporate activity, improved connectivity, and lingering construction setbacks. Hotel occupancy stood at 66.7%, with expectations it will stabilize in the high 60 to low 70% range, keeping pricing power strong despite growing competition from short-let apartments. Savannah Energy says the federal government's 590 billion naira bond issuance, part of a wider 4 trillion naira program, has renewed optimism over the settlement of long outstanding debts in Nigeria's power sector. The company noted that the bond, alongside a 2.6 billion naira financing package, has improved discussions with power generation companies over accelerated repayment of gas supply receivables. The Nigerian Airspace Management Agency has reassured air travelers that Nigeria's airspace and landing facilities remain safe despite reduced visibility caused by Harmattan haze. Nigerian Airspace Management Agency says all navigational aids are routinely maintained and calibrated in line with international aviation standards, stressing that weather-related delays are due to atmospheric conditions and airline decisions, not equipment failure. Zainab Mohammed reporting for Beetv News.
And moving on to the entertainment news, Nigerian singer and songwriter Habani has officially entered the music scene with the release of his debut album, Positive Minded, unveiling a fresh and vibrant voice in contemporary African music. The report.
The 10-track album blends Afrobeats, rap, and soul, drawing heavily from Abani's personal experiences and the culture of Lagos. With themes centered on optimism, resilience, and self-belief, the project combines energetic sounds with introspective storytelling aimed at inspiring and empowering listeners. UK-based Nigerian artist, audio engineer, and songwriter Lumi G, real name Olumide Dijoke, is celebrating a decade-long journey in the music industry spanning from 2015 to 2025. Since his debut single Love Miami in 2015, Lumi G has steadily evolved through various singles, visuals, and projects, including the Love Matters EP, known for blending Afropop, R&B, soul, and world music. His career reflects consistent artistic growth, cultural influence, and global inspiration. Popular ITV soaps Coronation Street and Emedali are set to make television history with their first ever crossover episode airing on Monday. The one-off special titled Corey Dale follows a dramatic road traffic incident on a dark trans-Penning road that brings characters from both shows together. Executive producer Lane McLeod described the crossover as a major moment, likening it to a Marvel multiverse event. Filmed over 3 weeks of night shoots and featuring large-scale stunts and explosion, cast members say the episode was intense but enjoyable, promising spectacle, drama, and a unique experience for fans of both soaps. And that's it on the entertainment news. Evelyn Izibile reporting for Beetv News.
And that is all on our 12 p.m. Global News. Thank you for joining and stay tuned for our 3 p.m. news updates. I am Ruth Obodu. Goodbye for now.
Audio Jungle.